Hey, good evening. We are here late Florida time, talking to LA time. We got Coach Rickard on the line here. This is John Dunn with Coach Rickard. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful this evening. Thanks for asking. How are things your way?
Well, we're doing good here. I was just called to say hello and see what you were up to today. I know that you were involved in some things I thought you'd want to talk about, and I thought I'd give you a moment to we'll catch up a little bit, and we can talk about some of those things right now.
Cool, man. Let's get going. Let's get started.
And the subject would be recovery, my friend. It's a good one.
Okay. Yeah, it is, man. And I'm so happy that you're calling and asking about the subject of recovery. I was just talking to somebody today. We're doing all of this branding for my book, Enable Your Life. And one of our key phrases is recovery for life. And the guy says, there's so many different meanings to that. And I start smiling. I say, yeah, I know that's exactly the case. And, the reason for recovery for life is because there's a lot of people living in recovery. There's a lot of people that are really living good lives. And, the 12-step model of recovery is one form of recovery. And we're seeing so many more people come together. I mean, most of my friends that are all 12-step members that have over 25 years are so supportive of recovery models that includes people's health and well-being and not necessarily structured around the 12-step belief system. Unfortunately, 12-step doesn't work for everybody. And I say unfortunately because, it's such a wonderful program that has wonderful people inside of the program, but not everybody fits the model. And the other unfortunate thing is there's not a lot of us outside of the 12-step model that are really still participating in community involvement. All the people I know that are outside of the 12-step system in recovery all do different things for a living, and they don't really congregate like 12-step does. So, for me, having the opportunity to be on here with you at the Recovery Broadcast Channel is just, it's mind-blowing that we're getting connected to so many different opportunities and ways to live in recovery, man. I'm just so blessed, and I feel so thankful to be a part of it.
Well, I think the universe put us together, my friend, and that's a beautiful thing. Let me identify myself. I'm one of those people over 25 years. In fact, I celebrated, as you know, 3 decades. So, and
Yeah,
I'm one of those people that the 12 steps, it works, and it still works for me. But it's also, I'm also a believer that, there are folks out there that don't fit in the box that we like to create. I think there's some fantastic data and some real life experiences and some friendships I've made over the years where I've seen some different techniques of getting sober, staying sober, and living a life of sobriety. You know what I mean? Myself, for for a long time, there's some different things that that I've used in my life as far as to reach a higher consciousness and to, live a better life. There were some things that happened at 6 years, but again, to go back to what you said, it doesn't work for everybody. Each idea is different. It's specific towards each person. It's a willingness. And it's also, what was the word we were using prior to our conversation? It's the,
it's enabling the person.
Enabling, but also what was the other thing we talked about when I was speaking about the prison, taking.
Accountability, responsibility. Yeah, being accountable for your own recovery, having the opportunity to be accountable for your own recovery.
I think the willing and accountability two together with willing, love, and accountability is a dynamite combination to allow a structured recovery in your life. And then you also have to take into consideration, as we talked about, there are things that, chemically could be wrong with your brain. You spend, 50 years, 30 years, half your life using drugs and alcohol. You're going to have a situation that possibly your balance of your chemicals could be different. There could be some going on there. We used to always kid around in meetings that, more than 50% of people suffer from something greater than alcoholism. And I believe that number is much higher. So.
Oh yeah, it's while you were talking there, we see so many people that come in with biological problems, meaning their intestines are breaking down. They're not able to, their body's not able to function because of the toxicity of alcohol, which people are missing. We're seeing this huge population of people that have been drinking. Now, these people aren't alcoholics in the form that says, hey, look at you, you've got to stop drinking, you're an alcoholic. It's more like people that have been drinking for 30 or 40 years that are getting up there in their age, that their body's starting to deteriorate. And it's so ingrained into their system that if you start off by saying you're an alcoholic, they run and they go die isolated by themselves in their homes. It's more, it's a trippy thing to see right now. We're seeing a lot of people, and unfortunately, the terminology doesn't work for them. We're also seeing huge amounts of people that are being taught, that are being talked into being alcoholics with the disease of alcoholism or addiction that's going to last for the rest of their life. And half these people haven't even had a depth of an experience the way all the providers are saying that they had. I mean, to just be blunt about it, half of them haven't even had a runny nose yet, and they're calling them addicts for the rest of their lives. And it's unfortunate because they're being diagnosed with this stuff, and it's mostly not true for, I would say, over 50% of the people in treatment right now are being lied to.
Well, here's the thing, and just so people know, I'm smoking a really good cigar. This is a Rocky Patel sun-grown Maduro, in case you want to know, and I could do that.
I could smell it from here.
But hey, listen, just to go back on, just so people understand what is going on here, Recovery Broadcast Channel was something of I woke up one day and I was 60 years old, and then the following month I was 30 years sober, like that. So, I mean, I'm the oldest I've ever been. I'm the soberest I've ever been. And what's interesting about all that is I've come to realize that recovery and the message with recovery ripoffs and all the crazy stuff right now is really off message, and I think we got together for a reason, and I truly believe that, putting this out for people to watch and to consider the possibility is good. I think opinion, so many times in meetings, I've been, a proponent of not agreeing with some of the opinions in the meetings. I've told you about, long time old timers that, when I was newly sober, telling their sponsees they weren't really sober because their doctors had prescribed them, medication for their bipolar disorder, and I told the one guy that he was drunk, not a doctor. I think but that's just only like the tip of the iceberg as far as the way opinion sort of controls some of the things that we're talking about as far as change and living a better life. And, look, we're not talking about going out and getting crazy. We're talking about modification of certain behaviors that possibly aren't working for everybody. Hey, listen, Alcoholics Anonymous worked for me for many, many years. You know what I mean? It's still to this day. I do my first 3 steps. I do my 3rd step prayer. Do I have good days and bad days? Absolutely. Do I, does life, dish me out some crazy curveballs? And we talked about that. It does, but
sure.
There are things I see and there's hope. And I love this conversation because there are people that have been trying to get sober and trying to live a better life, or sober and unhappy, and they don't know why, or they don't want to take doctor prescribed narcotics, the doctors got them in the trouble in the first place with the hillbilly heroin, it just,
there's a lot of media around that right now with the prescriptions. They're really pushing hard medically assisted treatment, but the only federally approved medication for medication assisted treatment is Suboxone and naloxone. And naloxone is a opiate inhibitor, and Suboxone has a component of relief for people that are suffering from substance use disorder, particularly opiates and alcohol. But each one of them causes a dependency that's necessary. And what I guess what the system is saying, we'd rather them be dependent on this than dying and the treatment that they're getting not worked. What they're not approving is cannabis, which is a whole nother story. I'm sure we'll be getting into those stories later.
You know, it's late here in Florida, and I think it's a good time to maybe make this a part one of a many part discussion. I think
Let's do it, brother.
and some of the other medications that are available right now for certain individuals that we'll talk about experiences and people I know that you know also as well.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the success rates, and also listen to those out there that are having a hard time. We're going to try and bring you a message, and if you want to get a hold of anybody, the Recovery Broadcast Channel or the recoverybroadcastchannel.com, you can send us a message. We're also on Instagram. Coach Rickard, why don't you let people know where you're at or where you can be reached?
Yeah, man. You could go to my Instagram at mycoachrickard, but really find some people around you that are in recovery or that want to be a part of a recovery process. I mean, the idea here is that we're bringing recovery conversations to groups, but for you to have the opportunity to gain more knowledge and information so you can build your own model of recovery that's successful. I mean, again, if you'd like to connect with me, and go to my Instagram at mycoachrickard, and let's do this together.
Absolutely. And if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. There'll be many more like this, hopefully some good ones. We're going to interview some other people that we've, some folks that are out there that we believe that are some fantastic examples of how their recovery works, and they can tell it in their own words. And I think you'll find those fascinating as we do.
You got it.
Coach, have a great night.
You too, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Good night, everybody.